Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
For like publication. So this would be actually a podcast would be great on Substack. It's pretty much, so you take it's combining blog, video, audio, all of it in like a page format, but then it goes out as an email. So it's like a mix, is like an email list. You can send the blog and people can, it's really fascinating. I follow this girl who does like book reviews and just like writes about just random stuff. And I find it more like wholesome than any other social media. Like I like reading and information based stuff. So it's like you get to read people's short stories. You get to read, there's another musician that I follow and he just talks about stuff that he's produced and then puts up videos of like him making beats. And so it's just like,
so you're basically getting the emails rather than letting the algorithm decide for you if you want to see it or not.
And if you want to go and you're just like on Substack, you're just kind of scrolling through blogs and they still have the, they just put in the like status update kind of thing where you can like write a little note, but also for your like subscribers, you can choose to pay or not, which is also really important to me because I hate paywalls. And that's why I haven't started a Patreon yet because I don't want to put any of my content. I don't want to like take access away from someone who wouldn't be able to afford it.
Right.
So Substack is cool because you can choose what you put behind a paywall, which for me will be nothing. And then you can have people choose to subscribe if they'd like to support, if they have the means, or they can just do a free subscription. And there's like different, you can set it up for rewards, but it's not necessary. So yeah, it seems like a really cool way to get out because I have so much to say and so much auxiliary stuff that's not just music. There's poetry and short stories, memoirs and writing and all this other stuff. And so this seems to be like a good everywhere space for it.
I like that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the modern artist is we're not just doing one thing. We're doing multiple things because we have access to all these tools.
Right.
And it's so easy to evolve. So, I think, a space like that does need to rise up. I think it's cool. You said substack.com. Is that where you go?
Yeah. Just substack.com. And, there's like, the setup is in a way that's just like, it seems more conducive, like with the way my creative brain works, it's like not just in linear, like make the video, make the post. And then, sometimes it's like 500 words on a dream that I had, or a mushroom trip that I took, or, just some book that I'm reading that I think is important for people to, that has really important ideas or something like that. So it's kind of nice to kind of have, or just paintings, posting the art, having everything in that like spaces. Yeah,
it's really cool. All the different things we draw from these days. I listened to your entire album. There were a couple of songs that really spoke to me. I was going to ask you about those in particular. Sure. I know we say we're going to stay away from politics.
Revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't, when I say, it's kind of impossible for me to separate my art from politics. The political and the personal, I think for most Black women is pretty intertwined. It's very same. But yeah, Revolution is I wrote that in fits and starts, probably starting in 2016, obviously. But
what happened in 2016 that was significant to you that made you write that?
Oh, the Trump election.
Oh, that would okay.
Yeah. I was working doing seasonal work, working up in Alta, Utah, which is beautiful land. Just working at ski lodge in the winter times. And
it's a dope job.
It was a really dope job.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It was 3 winters. I'd never snowboarded before I even like showed up. I showed up with like, I just was like, I'm here to snowboard. And like, it's a skiers only mountain. You got to go next door. And I was like, okay. But one of my last winters there, second to last winter, was the year that Trump got elected. And what was really crazy, for one, showing up at that job, coming from the life that I had lived previously, was like a crash course in privilege. It was wild. I'm like, the employees that I think I'm like, oh, they're just like pissant employees, like they're like oh, I've got my master's in political science, and I've gotten, oh, you weren't on ski team as a child? And I'm like, what is this? So that was like really hard for me to grapple with because I kept trauma dumping in polite society. I would be like, start to tell these stories, and I'm like, oh, y'all don't word.
They couldn't resonate at all with
No. And so the poem part came out first. So I guess turned into the rap part, but it was originally a poem. And it just, that came from like kind of trying to encapsulate the artist's struggle. But Revolution came out just, so yeah, being like in the privilege, not on the side of like the workers, but also on the side of the people that were visiting. Like you have these people that fully supported Trump, that voted him in, that were proud, you know, that were really excited. And they would think, they'd be like, oh, let me guess who you voted for, you know, and these people are millionaires. They're and they're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a night to stay and to ski. And like, I have not snowboarded. I've not been on a mountain since I left that job. I can't afford a ski pass. That's right. I got stopped. I was like, oh, maybe I'll snowboard now that I know how. And I was like, oh, that's how much that costs? No. But just that like frustration of, you know, the newsroom speaking in tongues and just having someone that was just so blatantly against humanity, you know, it's just like such a blatant capitalist. And these rich old people are like, everything is jolly and this is going to go great. And I don't know why you're upset.
They're living in a different world than you are.
Yeah, exactly. And so that song came out over that winter. And, you know, it wasn't really, I think it probably took a few years. I don't think I finished it until I got to Portland in like 2017. But yeah, that was just kind of a response of like, this can't, like, we can't, you guys are seeing this, right? Like we're all seeing this, right? But also like living around the privilege of the kids I was living with and working around, they had no idea.
Right.
They had no inkling of anything. Of
the struggle.
Yeah. So that's where that song came out from.
It's a very cool song. I was actually wondering like how you because I mean there are a lot of things that you said in that I was like, oh, this is a dope song. Like I see what she's talking about. But I was curious as like to what sparked that. I'm always curious as to what sparked the creative process. The other one that I was listening to was B.I.M.T. Another cool one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Honestly, that one was really terrifying to play for the first time because it's such an honest and raw emotion for me. For me to like, that was also one that was written in results to working in Alta. And yeah, getting into some pretty gnarly human manipulation situations. And, you know, having to result, like to fall back on my like trailer park antics to get safe. And then, you know, that guilt, you know, and just, you know, I come from a very feral family. And
what do you mean by that? Can you give me an example?
Just like a very chaotic, you know, we have just, let me think about this in a way that's not going to offend my sisters. I come from a very feral family, and that we're all just, you know, we're all kind of wildlings. You know, we grew up poor in the ghetto, moving between, you know, I've lived in trailer parks and homeless shelters and, you know, I've probably been to about 13 different schools at least. You know, it was chaotic. There was just feralness. My mother was an alcoholic and an addict, and my father was an alcoholic. And it was just, we were just feral wild beings. And we had to, you know, there's this line in an Atmosphere song. I'm going to date myself here, but I can't remember the name of the tune, but it's like, sometimes you have to get low just to get through. And it's like, yeah,
I feel that,
you know, like, you know, my mother was a class act scam artist, 100% till the day she died. And that's cool. You know, she did what she had to do. We survived. We got through it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to perpetuate those cycles of seduce and schemery, but sometimes being a bitch is necessary. Sometimes going low is necessary. And for me I was such like a people pleaser, such an obedience, like my family. There's the family joke that I was the house elf of the family. So much so that my mom sent me a sock for my 23rd birthday to free me. And I wept. I wept. But I've always just been the kind of like the good kid. I was like super into church and I was straight edge and I was gonna, I was just the really, really obedient child. And so for me to say, you ain't never seen a bitch as dangerous as me was like scary. It was really scary for me to own that feralness within myself. But it's very quickly still one of my favorite songs to play and sing, especially when I need need to remember that feralness is necessary. It's incredible.
I think just being human, we forget that we are just animals.
Yeah,
and that there's definitely a part of us that is feral, and a lot of people, they deny that.
Yeah, and that's like so, and especially like in this kind of late stage capitalist hellscape that we live in, that has taught us to prize our like self-worth on how much we produce, and tells us to live above the neck and stay in this headspace, and doesn't allow for us to really get into our bodies and feel our emotions without rationalizing them or numbing them. I think it's really important. I've really been thinking a lot about how to bring my whole self into situations, especially my music, but also into my community. Like, how can I stand in the goodness and in, this shadowy thing that I have, like, how can I bring this all? Because if I'm just bringing part of it, then one, if you suppress something, it's going to come up, you can't hide it. But how can there's space for anger and rage and destruction. Definitely. And there just needs to be, I think that we as humans get a little caught up in trying to be the Instagram perfect, like outside. We're like, I'm just going to put on my smile and be really good. And I'm just going to be really positive. I'm going to be so positive. And it's like,
it's all just fake image.
We are living in a hellscape right now. It's okay to be,
yeah, it was actually, we were talking on the last podcast about like our base emotions. And I was saying, I think my base emotion is rage.
Yeah.
That's what drives me. It's what moves me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what I'm kind of learning about myself. You a fan of D&D at all?
Yeah.
I am a big fan of D&D. And I've been watching a lot of Dimension 20. You familiar?
I don't know that.
So it's pretty much the guys from College Humor. They like started this new thing called Dropout. It's like a little TV service, but they do these incredible, like it's a cast of improv comics and actual like D&D, like for life players. And they put on these campaigns and they're incredible.
It's on YouTube or something?
Yeah, there's some on YouTube, and then they have their own like little streaming service. They do like a whole like slew of shows. That it's like, I think $6 a month.
I'll check it out.
It's really great. I don't even watch Netflix anymore. It's like, it's such good collaborative storytelling. It's like so, now I got excited and I forgot what I was talking about. Base emotions, rage.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I've been considering, they talk about, rage and being a barbarian, and then like the difference between being a paladin and a warlock.
Oh, what would your D&D character be?
Oh, definitely a tiefling. Because I think tieflings are just like, I don't know who made D&D, but I'm like reading the description. I'm like, this black people, I don't understand. Oh, everyone thinks that they're evil. Oh, they think they made a deal with the devil. Like this is us. But so definitely tiefling. And I, was thinking about, I'd probably be a warlock, because I think so something that's mentioned in this this guy mentions in this show is the difference between a paladin and a warlock is just like the society's view of the power source.
Okay.
Right. So you're either working with a god, divine god, or you're like, it's still all rules and contracts. Right. I have this theory that artists are all warlocks or paladins, but hang
on, paladin's the spear guy?
Yeah, a paladin is like someone who is like a fighter in service of a god, or like so they get their spell slots from deities.
They do have spells though?
And
okay.
Warlocks get their spell slots from infernal powers.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much you can, if you make a deal with a demon, if you get powers from a demon, you're a warlock.
Mm.
If you get powers from the spring goddess, you're a paladin.
Okay.
And that's been really fascinating to me because thinking about like where we get our powers from. And
demon, huh?
Well, I think it's just an energy, and I think that there's like, I used to think that I was a paladin, but I think, hold on one second. Ooh, sometimes my anxiety rises up and just shuts my brain down. I'm safe. You're cool. Sorry. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that warlocks are more primal. I think they are like a primal connection to the source. Yeah, more primal than paladins. Yeah, I don't.
So you think paladins are basically playing it safe by worshiping a god, whereas the warlock is, he's playing with demons.
No, I think paladins, honestly, I think the difference between I don't really think it's playing it safe. Honestly, I think paladins and warlocks are the same. It's just society wants to call them paladins because they're with a deity. And so because the world sees these, and like there are bad gods all over the Dungeons and Dragons realm. There's gods of chaos, and there's, you can be a paladin of dark magic, but it seems to not work the other way. You can't really be like a warlock of, well, maybe actually if you got your powers from like a seraphim or like what are they? The angel type, deities.
I don't know all the names of things. I played, was it Baldur's Gate's the only one I've ever.
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah, I played it. That was my introduction into the D&D realm.
Ah, yes. Okay.
I've watched like all the films and stuff they've come out with in the past. We actually do a D&D night here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's every other Wednesday. We have a guy comes in, he leads a dungeon, and they have their characters. He has pre-made characters. If anyone wants to come in, there's
just drop in.
Yeah,
that's
drop-ins.
Really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Baldur's Gate. It was a fascinating game. But dark elf warlock here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I went with.
Everyone makes fun of the elves in the D&D film.
Why do they make fun of them?
Because there's everyone wants to be an elf, which of course, yeah, they're cool. But they seem to be like the higher society, I guess, in like the realm. If you read like the lore, and this is all secondhand because my partner is an absolute nerd and I'm just the proxy that like takes in the information. But apparently elves are like of the higher society. So they like look down on everyone and they can kind of shit on the other classes. And so everyone kind of dunks on the elves.
But that's why I wanted to be a dark elf. So I could just blast people with magic.
Yeah, see?
Just blasting them.
That's all, sometimes it's great. I have not played through Baldur's Gate, but my partner has played through it. I've watched it. And it's awesome. I've actually, I watch more D&D than I play. I think I've only ever participated in like half of a campaign, but I love the fact of collaborative storytelling. Oh, so cool. So
2 things. One, it's fascinating to me that people like to watch the games rather than play them. I do the same thing. I play Escape from Tarkov, which is a shooter game.
Okay.
But I love to watch people play that game too, because it doesn't give me the stress of like being in the game.
Yeah. I grew up watching like my friends play video games because it's a lot. I'm an empath and I get stressed out easily. Yeah. And I love Fallout 3. My best
Great
friend,
game.
love watching her play
Mhm.
Fallout. We spent like the entire 2 years we lived together. I like watched her play through, you know, all of Fallout, or Fallout New Vegas, excuse me.
All the Fallout games I freaking love them. Yeah.
So good.
I didn't really get into 76.
Yeah, I
That's
heard
the online
76.
one.
Yeah, I heard 76 was like a trash of like just bugs and crashing.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was jumping into the game and there are guys running around that already have nuke launchers.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Because I mean, there are other players in the game.
Oh, yes, because it's the MMO version. Yeah.
So I couldn't really get into that, but I've loved what they've done with the series. It's great. And
Have you seen the Amazon?
Even the Amazon series.
I heard it's really good. I'm waiting until my partner and I are reunited so we can watch it.
It's good. No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah, I hear it's really good.
Mhm.
I love the Fallout universe. I love the idea. I kind of love the idea of it. You know, I love a good
It's
post-apocalyptic.
that demon inside of you coming out.
You know, I think I'm made to live after the fall of society.
Yeah. I could see that from, I think Revolution. Was that Revolution that talks about that, or is it B.I.M.T?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
One of those actually talks about that concept about surviving. Yeah, after.
Oh, yeah. I'll pick my teeth with your bones if
Yeah.
it means that I survive.
That's it.
Yeah. That one came from, my sister used to say, like, yeah, can I swear on here?
Yeah.
My sister used to be like, oh, you want to fuck with me? I got a black belt in crazy. Find out. And that's how she would, you know, that's how you'd be like, don't fuck with Annika. She's got a black belt in crazy. and so that kind of like concept of like growing into that, like, yeah, my survival, and that's like, and it almost scares me to like sing that because I feel like other artists are going to hear that and think that I'm like, you know, up to no good or that I would be, but it's not that. It's that like, you know, it's like picking my teeth with the bones of like not society, but you know, I'm a big fan of Eat the Rich.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it feels like it's more along that. It's not the survival of myself over the community, but it is survival of us over
Them.
the 1%.
See, I think it's a great opinion to have. I think that everyone's on the menu for me. Yeah, if the fall of society comes, everyone should stay the hell away from me because if daddy needs to eat, daddy's going to eat. That's how I feel about it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, we talk about cannibalism a lot up here at the bar, just because it's an interesting topic to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like cannibalistic societies say that human tastes like pig.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me because like all the sweat and toxins and grossness that just lives in our bodies.
Yeah, they call it long pig.
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I knew long pig is. Yeah. Ugh. I'm don't know. I'm a picky enough eater as like with meat.
Mhm.
I'm actually done really well. The last like living here has like, you know, you can't ask what's in the sausage every time. Sometimes you just got to shut your mouth or close your eyes and chew.
One of our bartenders here is actually a vegan, and seeing how picky she has to be with the food she eats is insane to me.
Oh yeah. One of my neighbors moved in right after I did. And they were vegan when they got here. And within like 2 weeks, they were like, I just realized that being vegan is like such a privilege. And, you know, not a lot of people can afford to just not eat meat all the time or to, you know, have to be picky. Like it's so like, and they're coming from like a place of privilege, like high privilege. And they're like, it's so, you know, fucked of me essentially to like expect like the people that to serve me this vegan food, you know, as I'm coming into these cultures as they're like exploring and like going over to people's houses and stuff. Oh
yeah, that would be difficult to go into someone else's house and then be like, yeah, I'm vegan.
Yeah. And you're like, someone invites you to the crawfish boil and you're like, but what about, you know?
Right.
So they did just, you know, cut it back and was like, you know, I can be a vegetarian or I can eat what's offered to me. I'm not gonna, if it's already been made, I'm not gonna, you know, damage the whatever. But I always thought that was really interesting because it was really hard. I like wanted to like make them a cake when they first showed up. I was like a welcoming thing. And they were like, I'm vegan. And I was like, I don't know how to cook anything vegan.
Yeah.
I can't welcome you in any food way. Whatever.
Here's some water.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I got you some. I actually went to Costco and was like, I got this vegan queso. I'm like, oh, it's great. I was like, There you go.
Yeah, you can take that home with you too. Just
so much. Oh gosh, it was so bad.
Yeah, she had ranch here one night, and I was like, vegan ranch. I was like, let me try some of that.
Vegan ranch is amazing.
You liked it?
There's a little place. There's a pizza spot.
I might have got the wrong
Portland
one.
Called Sizzle Pie, and they have a vegan ranch there that knocks your socks off.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's probably she gave me the bad one, probably.
Probably, yeah. Well, I think there's only one good one, so I guess if it didn't come from Sizzle Pie, it's probably bad.
That's what it was. I tried the vegan hot dog at Dat Dog one night. Talk about a mistake.
Vegan hot dog.
Yeah, I don't know what I was even thinking when I ordered it. Like when the words came out of my mouth, I was like, no.
I love a good veggie burger with bacon. I love an Impossible burger with bacon.
Okay.
Actually, a black bean burger, great. I've had some vegan chili dogs that were, instead of the dog, it was just like a roasted carrot.
Okay.
And that was really good.
Roasted carrots are fucking dope.
Yeah. So it was just like on a bun, and I was like, I don't really know. I was like, wait, what? It was just a carrot shaped like a hot dog. And they were like, yeah. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that actually sounds good.
Now that I can get behind, but like ground up soy protein in the shape of a hot dog.
I love meat. I mean, you know, if you look at me, you're like, yeah, this guy's a fucking meat eater, you know?
Yeah. That's right.
It's just so easy to like grab my protein and go.
Yeah. I think meat is just, it's too much of a mess for me to deal with. I'm like, I don't want to put my hands in the flesh, and I got to cut it, and I got to rip it, and I got to do all the things and make sure it's cooked all
if
the
I had to
way.
process all the meat that I ate, then I'd probably eat less meat. Put it that way. Like when I go home to Arkansas, where I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad's a hunter.
Okay.
So I usually grab some of the meat that he hunts and bring it down here with me.
Oh, okay.
But deer meat's one of the big staples that we eat up there.
Deer. Okay. Yeah, my partner's into eating lots of weird stuff. Bear. I think he had bear up in Oregon. And will like to go to like a butcher and get some strange meat to grill and eat around his birthday.
It's so weird how they taste different.
The bears?
Just meat in general. Like what makes meat taste different, you know?
It's definitely what they're eating, right? And their exercise.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Like that's why pig is really salty, because they don't sweat. So they store all their toxins in their meat. And that's why red meat, you know, like venison is like, that's grass. Animals that eat like grass are going to taste different than animals that eat meat. That's why emu, if you ever had emu, that's a meat eating bird, and it looks like beef.
Oh, I have not had emu. I need to try some now.
Yeah.
So, okay. This is where I go into cannibalism.
Yeah, right. So if a vegan would taste a little bit different, would taste more like beef, and you know, someone who ate meat, you would taste more like bacon. Yeah, and then it's also like
sweat,
health, and it's but if you're still consuming a lot of like, you know, salt, it also, you know, it's like, I don't know if that's an appropriate correlation to make.
What are you gonna say?
Your diet apparently changes the taste of your semen.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah. If you eat pineapple and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard pineapple, but also if you're just like a really gross, like if you live on like Code Red and like pizza, you know, like
It's probably not gonna taste good.
Probably not.
We had a podcast on here one day with Dana Ives, which is a local band. And midway through the podcast, I don't know what got us on this topic, but one of the guys, we were drinking, we were heavily drunk on the podcast. One of the guys just looked over and said, "Have you guys ever tried your own cum?" And me and the other guy were like, "No." He's like, "I have. It didn't taste bad." And we're like, good. "Oh, it's okay.
That's good.
It's good information to have."
You know, that's good information to have, especially if you're going to ask someone to go down on you and you're, you know, I think if you're going to come in someone's mouth, you should probably know what you're giving them.
I feel like I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
On both sides of the equation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. You know, eat that pineapple.
Yeah. So cannibalism, maybe that's why it's illegal. It's because we taste really good.
It's probably illegal because it's like involves ending someone's life. It has like a whole track and like a like creative brain and a post.
Well, I mean, you know, you don't like have to end their life.
I mean, who are you? Well, what do you? Okay, so I just think of like, you know, Walking Dead, one-legged Herschel. I'm like, tainted meat. It's like, oh God. Or is that Bob? You watch Walking Dead?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh God, someone gets bit and they run into cannibals and they eat this guy's leg and he starts laughing because he realizes he's infected. And he's like,
so then they all get infected.
Tainted meat. It's really funny.
Mm.
But yeah, that's just like, hey, I guess you don't have to. But like, who would you eat? Like, who is in a cannibalistic world, right? In a sustainable, community forward,
Okay.
cannibalistic society. Who's getting eaten? How are we deciding?
What's my scenario?
How do you mean? Like, are you at a restaurant or are you deciding?
I need to know, am I at a restaurant where I'm picking out which one I want to eat, or like,
I mean, it's
or am I on an island where I
we're
have
not
to
on
pick
an island.
someone?
We're like, okay, so, you know, continuing on this big dream of a collaborative futures where like all society, like all different types of, you know, ways of living can be accepted and live in interconnected communities, right? So there's a community that wants to be cannibalistic, and there's a society that is set up to agree to be cannibalistic. Now, if you are agreeing to be a cannibal, does that mean you're also agreeing to enter the lottery to be eaten? Was that equitable?
I feel like you have to do that.
Right. Because if so, then it's just like, if not, then you're just like farming people. And then, yeah, someone has to agree. It's got to be, consent is so sexy. Someone's got to agree down the line.
I don't think that would ever, you know, we're thinking hypothetical here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if hypothetically
the next novel,
there was some cannibals and everyone was okay with this and they only ate in their own crowd, then I guess you would have to do a lottery. But I think the person who loses the lottery still has the right to defend themselves.
Ooh, battle royale.
So if they can take out someone else before you take them out,
it's very dystopian.
Then they get to eat.
Yeah, it's very Mad Maxian.
Yeah. Because it would make no sense for, you know, this large buff guy to just be taken out of the equation just because he pulled the lottery. He still gets to fight for his right. I think that would also make a healthier society too, because people would want to train.
Well, yes. And also, though, for those that are not maybe genetically predisposed to buffness and that kind of muscly thickness, how do they defend themselves?
Well, this is a personal thing, obviously, but I think that everyone does have the ability to gain muscle and be in shape.
Well, yeah, definitely to be in. I fully agree with that. But I also know that, like, historically, Black populations are going to have more like body fat, and are just like a thicker populace of human. That doesn't mean that they're less capable. But I feel like, well, I guess, yeah, if it's a voluntary society, then you can just opt out.
Yeah. You say, I'm going to go over here and live with these other people.
Yeah, I'm not going to I don't think I can win this fight. And I'm not that curious. I've tasted human. Now I'm not curious anymore.
Yeah, I don't know who would actually volunteer to live there, but we're hypothetical.
Yeah, you know, there's some freaks out there.
I feel like the only way that a cannibalistic society, or I feel like the only way cannibals would emerge and stay aloft is if the stores fell, you know?
Yeah.
If like you couldn't get food.
Yeah.
Then people have to turn to drastic measurements.
Yeah. And you know, that's not an unimaginable future.
No, I think it actually happened in World War II in some places.
Really?
Yeah, they turned to cannibalism because they couldn't get food and stuff.
Oh, I need to do some research.
I'm not sure if they were actually eating and killing live people and eating them, or if they were just
waiting for people to die.
Yeah, someone's dead. No, it's consume the flesh.
Party. Yeah. Donner Party. What a mess.
Was he a cannibal? I don't know much pop culture.
Yeah, the Donner Party is I think that was like a party of people that were making a trek in like the pilgrimy times.
Okay.
Pre-cars, pre-electricity. And they got caught up on this lake and it froze over and they ended up eating each other. Ooh. Everyone like ate a bunch of people. And then they were found and then they weren't that far from society. They were like not that far. I watched like a puppet history about it.
Did they get in trouble?
Loosely. No, I think they just like the emotional suffering that they had eaten their family and friends was probably punishment enough, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to go with your family, but you just gave me a great idea.
All right, lay it on me, Scat Cat.
We went out hiking and we got lost and we didn't know like how far away from society we were. Sir, you were just a mile away. I was hungry and I had to eat.
So you're going to take someone hiking, you're going to kill them, you're going to eat them, and then you're going to say, I didn't know we were far.
Well, obviously I'm not going to do that because I'm on a podcast recording. But I'm just saying,
okay,
you know.
So technically that could happen.
And there's a precedent for it already if the Donner Party didn't get in trouble. So,
well, the Donner Party didn't get in trouble in like the 1300s, I think.
Well, if they set a precedent, then
hey, you know, hey, speaking of precedents, not presidents. You know, the wealth gap right now is worse than it was during the French Revolution. So we have like historical precedents start bringing out the guillotines.
So do you think that people, that modern people are actually going to start a revolution, though? Do you think that they're so docile now that they're not going to do anything about it?
I think that there is some really amazing direct action work happening behind the scenes that definitely has the capacity to create change. And I think something that's been, I definitely think, like, we think about a revolution as like the way, like a turning of points, like a changing of the way things are run. But we've already had a revolution. The way we're running now is not, I don't think, is what we intended with the best of our intentions. Maybe it's what, you know, we've created this monster that eats everything up called capitalism. And that's kind of how the whole world runs. But people don't realize is that capitalism doesn't stop after it chews through all of the poor people. It's going to keep going and grinding up. And so eventually things are going to break down because, you know, so it's like things are already changing. So why not change them for the better? I think there's a lot of docile people right now. A lot of people are, but I also think that in the past, since 2020, I think, like, in the wake of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter, like, movement, that second wave that really pushed, you know, things out into the streets, a lot of people are having a harder and harder time closing their eyes. And I think that once you realize you can't close your eyes anymore and you have to face it, you can't honestly look at the way this world is run and not be radicalized.
That's always been my argument, is if you see a problem, now you have to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to turn away from it? You know, if you walk into a house and the house is on fire,
right,
you either have to put it out or you have to try to tell everyone the house is on fire. Even if they're not listening, you still have a responsibility to put it out.
To try and yeah. And I think that that's like, you know, really, and it's so hard because we kind of live in this, like, the 24-hour news cycle, and then also, like, with the way social media is run up with, like, the algorithms and being shadow banned, like, you can't even speak. Like, if you have a business Instagram and you want to talk about what's going on, and you want to, you know, now, and you also have these things that are your income is dependent upon, and you want to start talking about Palestine, and then you get shadow banned, and then no one's seeing your other stuff. And so it's like such an insidious, like, way. But then what you get is, like, or if you, like, start liking things, then they overload you with all of this stuff, and it's tragedy. And it's like, how are we supposed to function in this? Like, it kind of gets caught in this, like, echo chamber of everyone's, like, you know, I've got a lot of friends that are, you know, posting every day, you know, these things, which is great. But then you're looking at their, like, following, and you're yelling into a crowd of people that all believe the same thing as you because it's been curated, and the people that are liking these things are getting shown these things. And so you're not really expanding out into other people's, like, purviews or, like, ideals. And so it just kind of gets in this, and, you know, this started happening, I feel like, even more so with the Trump election, is like people started yelling and they started dividing the internet. And, like, if you look at what's happening on a conservative's Instagram is wildly different than what's happening, or someone that's not politically engaged or not, like, actively involved in anything, you know, they're not getting this information. It's just like a wall. So there's, like, so instead of being effective and, you know, bringing attention to the house that's on fire, you've got everyone that needs to know the house is on fire with blinders on and earplugs in, and everyone's shouting, the house is on fire, the house is on fire, to people that also know it's on fire. And that's great because you can start to get ideas and start to cultivate action and start to think about, okay, well, what can we do about this house that's on fire? But it's really important to get on the other side of that, I think. And I don't really know how that can be done, because I think that there's like, I have conservative family and I talk to them and I don't even understand if they're on the planet Earth. I'm like, what are you saying? Like, you're presenting these wild fallacies as straight fact. And I'm trying to present fact and you're calling me irrational. I just don't understand. So it's really about like, I think communication, but also communication across, the belief systems is like really what's going to get people aware enough to start acting.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's even tough when you're saying the word like conservative, because everyone has this preconceived notion of what conservative is.
Right. And that's I say conservative for lack of a better term, because it's like, that's what we've been like. And it's not just like, I don't consider myself a liberal or a conservative on that spectrum, or a Democrat or a Republican. I think it's all trash.
Yeah.
It's all bad.
But that's the problem with like giving the labels though, is just that,
Yeah, it's just to say people that are, maybe using like woke versus non-woke.
Even that, like, it's the way we look at language.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if we just start looking at each other like we're human beings living in, the USA, we the people, not the government.
Right.
Need to stand up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think but it's hard to get people to see.
Yeah, it is.
Each other as humans.
I think until we develop a system that exposes Congress for the shit that they do, then this won't really change. But as soon as the system gets developed that actually, exposes Congress for the negative that they bring to the world, then I think things will right itself pretty quick. Because a lot of the bad laws and stuff to get passed are simply because corporations are paying off politicians.
Yeah. And that's like the grossness of it is like, and I was just watching this video and they were like, the wealth gap, or like, let's see, boomers have more wealth combined than the rest of the more wealth just in the boomer, whatever, I think it's like trillions of dollars than all of the other generations combined. Like millennials have like 30%. Boomers have like 50%, and then it's like split up among the generations.
What's a boomer? What years would that be?
It's like 1946 to 1965.
Okay, so those are people like in their 60s and up now?
Yeah, 70, 60s, 70s plus. And they're like, and so this video was like, wow, when these people die, all of this wealth is going to come to us. Are you ready for it? And I'm like, no, when these people die, all that wealth is going to go to the corporations. Where they've put they're just not gonna, I mean, if we could get the boomers to, unass some cash before they die, that'd be wonderful. But I think they're so caught up in this, like, I don't know what's going on with that entire generation, but it's like, you can't expect that they're just going to, on their deathbed, start to care about the rest of humanity and not protect their children, corporate interests, or because I think that their legacy is their corporate interests. That's how my name is going to live on. So like they're going to die, and that money's going to make all of the corporations' monopolies even stronger. And that is really scary.
Well, in the entire system, the way that a lot of these wealthy people set their money up is they put it in trusts. So it's not even actually in the family. Like it's in a trust that the family has access to. Which is crazy that you lock your money up in that, but that's just how they.
But then, if you look at the interest rates on these massive amounts of money, like it's just generating money. They're just, it's like you put $1 million in the bank, it just makes money on its own, and it's like, what?
Well, we were talking about it. These people live in a different world.
They do.
So
yeah, that's true.
If you've never been exposed to struggle, then you don't understand that there are a lot of people on the planet that are struggling. I'll give you an example. Whenever the pandemic happened and the bar had to shut down for a while, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's very wealthy, and he was basically saying, we were talking about how everyone was struggling to find money, and he's like, yeah, I had to loan $100,000 to my nephew. He was going to lose everything he owned. And I'm like,
$100,000.
yeah, I'm like, dude, do you understand that like certain people are only getting like $100 a week for unemployment, and like you're loaning $100,000 out? And he's like, are you serious? Only $100 a week? And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like if those stimulus checks didn't come in, people wouldn't even be able to eat.
Yeah,
and he couldn't even fathom it.
That's so crazy. It's like, and at the same time, like, and I was in Seattle when the pandemic started. I just left Portland. I was only supposed to be going home for just a month or two till I got back on my feet. Mm-hmm. And then the world ended. But you know, Seattle's pay wages are not quite living wage because everything is so expensive there, but they're decent. I mean, there's no $2.50 an hour for servers there. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think minimum wage for servers is probably 15 plus tips. Wonderful. And in Portland's pretty much the same. It's like maybe 10 or 12. But you know, the pandemic, during like the unemployment I made in the pandemic was like the most sustainable lifestyle I've ever had. Because I've been, you know, I was a bartender for a decade plus. And, you know, it was just like, wow, this is, and it was so crazy because that was such, it put me in such of a mind of like universal basic income. If this could be available for everyone, like, wow, could you imagine the things we as a society could create? Oh my God. But yeah, there was like, I think my tax return for 2020, I think was probably the most money I made in an entire year, like on paper. Yeah. And it was wild. And then I moved down here in November of 2020 and got a job working up at a Cellar Door, RIP. And they were like, yeah, so standard server's wage. And I was like, cool. And like, yeah, it's like $2.50 an hour. And I was like, what?
It's just a little different than the standard I just came from.
I just canceled my unemployment because I got a job. I'm making $2.50 an hour. And it was like still in the time, you know, it's like pandemic time. So nothing is open, you know, it's like people are coming in. There's like 6 tables in the restaurant. There's 5 people on staff. It's like a mess. It's just a mess. But yeah, it's just a wild transition. Craziness. Yeah, it was nuts here too. You go from growing a business for several years, then it just goes into nothing. Yeah. I released my album in 2020, so I can almost imagine there was a lot of building up and the things that came out of it. I was so excited. I was going to play all these. Oh gosh. And then they just all got canceled. And I was like, well, I don't even know if I want to play music anymore. I don't even know if I'm a musician anymore. Well, you can't let them get you down. Yeah, no, I almost did, but I didn't. It's good. That's why I tell Payson all the time, like, don't let anything break your spirits, man. He's such a good songwriter. Yeah. It's like, you gotta keep going, keep moving forward. Yeah. Payson's such a great guy. Really, really, truly. Also, thank you, Payson, for bringing me on here. What part of Arkansas are you moving to? Northwest, Eureka Springs. Okay. Yeah, I'm from the northeastern side. Okay, cool. I've never been to Arkansas. Very beautiful, especially the area you're going to. That's what I hear. Yeah. That was the compromise. So my partner got a job working up in Cassville, Missouri. And I'm not going to live in Missouri. It's just not going to happen. And I was talking to my psychiatrist and she was like, what's wrong with Missouri? And I was like, I don't have time, Deanna. I just don't have time to live in Missouri. Not in like, if it was like Kansas City, cool. But like Cassville, there's like a Walmart and 3 houses. I don't have time for that. So Eureka Springs was like the closest that we could find to like, there's art community. It's like queer positive. It seems to be like there's good music and it's outdoors, which is the like elevation is the one thing I miss the most about. Like, I love New Orleans. I love the culture. I love everything about it. But like, I miss outdoor activities, hiking, climbing. You'll get them up there. Yeah. Being in water that doesn't want to kill you. Really excited about that. That's one of the hidden things about Arkansas that people don't realize. That, you know, they hear it's like backwoods, redneck. It's like, yeah. There's still sundown towns, I heard. Well, it's just like, what is that? A sundown town? Oh, go inside before sundown? No, that's where, so a sundown town is historically where Black folks had to leave by sundown or they could legally be hunted. Oh, I've never heard of those places. Oh, really? Yeah, sundown towns are abundant in Arkansas. They were abundant. And I think the latest one
what are some of them?
Was like 2013. I have to bring up my phone to do some research, but I can find out for you. Yeah, I've been all over Arkansas. I love that state. Of course, I am a white
Yeah. So I mean, if a sundown town, if I come up across, so they'd be like, "You're safe here, boy."
Yeah, no one's gonna be like, "Hey, this is a sundown town," you know.
I fit in. I'm like,
It's pretty on par for the
You're
course.
welcome here.
Yeah. But I
can see some of the like the mountain towns being like that.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna have a good time there. It's a very beautiful state. There's so much to do there.
That's really exciting.
Highly recommend one day whenever you have free time going down to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh yeah. Oh, Little Rock is on the list. I actually I've made a lot of friends there from there when I was at Folk Alliance, excuse me, last February. And there's some really amazing good history and good music, like Black community forward focused music and like activity happening in Little Rock. So
it's a dope community down there.
I wanted to move there, but it's like a 4-hour commute to work. So my partner said no.
Well, I was going to say climb Pinnacle Mountain while you're down there.
Oh, okay. Pinnacle Mountain.
Yeah. Not many people know about Pinnacle Mountain that aren't from there, but
they will now.
Yeah. Well, it's this beautiful mountain that just like comes up from out of nowhere.
Okay.
You can climb up. You can see a 360-degree view around you because everything's flat around you.
Yeah.
And you can see the Arkansas River going through Little Rock.
Cool. Is it like one of those old like mounds that they used to make? They're like all over Tennessee, like the like native mounds. They're like huge, like of earth, or is it just like an actual?
No, it's about a 30-minute hike.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, up the mountain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, actual mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I used to when I lived in Little Rock. I lived in Little Rock for 3 years. I would go there in the morning and climb it and watch the sunrise and stuff. It's freaking cool.
Really magical. And
yeah, Pinnacle Mountain. Climb you some or go mine you some diamonds.
Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna rock hound out. The big fan of rocks me.
Crystal Caves are up there where you're going.
Crystal Caves, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the types of rocks that I could find while I was out there. Mountain.
Yeah, it's a really cool area. A lot of fishing.
Awesome.
Kayaking.
Big fish are you?
I love fishing, love kayaking. I love just being outdoors, but that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm. So, I mean, I was out just playing all day long, just doing whatever I wanted to. You know, it was in a time where I probably shouldn't have been doing some of the shit that I was doing. But I mean, I learned how to make fires and bombs by mixing shit together.
Oh, yeah. The old, like, nothing to do in the woods, but mix shit together.
It's a wonder I'm still here. Yeah.
I had a cousin that burnt a forest down that way. And he's about 5, I think, or 6, 4. No, he must have been like 3 or 4 because it was like, he was still a toddler and everyone was like, Josh burnt a forest down. And then like years later, you know, those like, only you can prevent forest fires. I like had finally reconnected with them on Facebook and his sister had like posted that on his thing. It's like, only Josh can prevent forest fires. And I was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, you did burn a forest down as a toddler.
But how did he burn it down? Was he like exploring, like pouring chemicals together, or did he just light a fire?
Oh, you know, I don't know.
Because like if you're
like, I think it was like a probably, you know, it was in the days of Daredevil. So it was probably one of those like trying to write your name, you know, with the fire.
Okay.
Everyone tried to do that in their street. Probably tried to do that with some underbrush.
See, I feel like that's how science was made, though. You know, people were just like doing random shit and they explored science.
Nature.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that too, is like no one really stops and observes. Like I've been going through, I lost my dad in December, and I've been going through a season of grief, which has translated into me going on lots of walks with my dog and taking a ton of videos of the birds and their drama. And so going through Louis Armstrong Park, there's been like all of these, so many birds. Louisiana is the most beautiful array of birds that I just like, it's so thrilling. I'm like, I don't even know the names of these things. They're gorgeous. But so a lot of bird drama. And and I'm forgetting where I'm going with this story. What were we just talking about?
Observing nature.
Oh, right. And so I sit down, you know, with my dog and try to like take some mindfulness. And it felt so weird to just sit on a park bench and not doing anything, not have my phone out and just like looking around. And I feel like people are like, what is she doing?
Yeah. You had a place now.
Like, what are you? And you're like, I'm just going to sit here and just be. And it's such a strange thing. But I've also realized like I really enjoy just like observing nature. Like I saw a hawk. It had just blood on its chest. And I was like, wow, that's so metal. Where did you come from? And it was just like so cool. And I was like, oh man. And it's just like, just from observing the space around you. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is literally how science was born. People were just bored and didn't have anything to do and were just watching things and was like, hey, I noticed that this thing, you know, correlates with this thing. And it's fascinating. I think we should do that more.
I do that sometimes outside of the bar here. I'll just pull a chair up and just sit.
Watch the local wildlife.
Watching everyone walk by.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are like, well, this guy's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because just looking at people. But I mean, I'm just existing.
Right. I'm just like, I like to sit. I'm a big like sit in silence and just have a think, you know, like my ideal homescape is just like fairly quiet for most of the time. And when I was living with my best friend in Portland in like 2017, 2018, she would come home from like work or the store and I would just be sitting on the couch. There'd be like nothing on. Oops, sorry. And I would just be sitting, you know, having a think, doing my thing. She'd be like, what are you doing in here? You're just sitting in here with the lights off, you weirdo. And I'm like, the light, it's natural light. She's like, the TV's not on. I was like, I'm just having a think. Why are you just sitting here? All right, Stevie, I'll go to my room and think, damn. But it's just like so funny because it's just like, it really is like, we've kind of been trained to be in this like constant state of action and movement and thought process and whatever. So just to like sit down and just be, it's crazy.
Well, you're an artist. I'm a creative as well. We have a lot of things going on in our mind all the time,
Mm-hmm.
like things just popping off all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that some people don't have that much going on, so they need that influx of?
You know, I'm starting to suspect so because I don't like. My partner is creative, but he's not an artist. He's a very pragmatic, methodical human being, which I love. You know, researcher, history focused nerd. You know, and my brain will have like 17 different pathways of thoughts and, you know, whatever. And I'm just like in the zone and things are going on. And it's just like, you know, come up and, you know, say something or do something. And I'm like, and it takes me a while because I have to pause and bookmark 17 different like thought processes before I can turn around. And I'm like, what did you just say to him? I'm sorry, what is happening? And, you know, he's like, I just don't understand how you can remember everything. I'm like, I don't understand how you don't. I can't like, and I realized that we just don't move at the same pace. And part of that is that, you know, the raising, you know, he didn't really have to move at that kind of, ever had to move at that pace to survive kind of. And, you know, that's just how I exist in the world. It just always has. And so it's just been really interesting. Yeah. It was like a really, interesting dichotomy to get used to at first and to like how to communicate that like, I need silence for my brain to process. And I need like, this is what I need for my creative, like, you know, like he's a big video gamer, you know? And so it's like, he's like, I'll just put headphones on. Like I can hear the keys from upstairs. I can hear everything. I'm cursed with really good hearing. So it's so yeah, I'm like, I hear that mouse. I'm like, I'm gonna lose it. I need silence. And I can't ask you just to sit there and not do anything. You want to read a book?
He's got to get a soundproof room and lock himself in.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or just get one of those whisper keys. You know, we're working on that a little quiet.
Oh, yeah.
The quiet gear. But it's been really fun.
It's not the same as a mechanical keyboard though.
I want a mechanical keyboard.
As a gamer.
Typewriter.
I know this.
Oh, are you a PC gamer too?
Yeah,
PC Master
gamer.
Race?
Yeah.
Boy, yeah.
Well, that's how I know about Baldur's Gate.
Is it only on PC? I thought it was a console
It's
as well.
probably on console too, but I played it on PC. It's way easier to play those games on PC.
That's really wild because I tried to. I'm a console gamer traditionally.
Same here. It was hard to transition.
Yeah, and so my partner left his computer, and I was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna play video game. I'm a video game person. And I'm like trying to and I'm like, how? Oh my god!
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to. What was I playing? What is that one? It's like Soul Calibur, but it's not Soul Calibur. Elden Ring.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I loved Elden Ring. Just watching it and like getting to find the stuff and put the pieces together for the storyline was so cool. But I was like, I'm gonna play the game. I'm like, I can't do shit. It's just like, and then like I started playing the Switch. So I got really into those controls and was like, I'll just use the Xbox controller. And you know, it's only capitalism. That's the only reason why the X and the Y are switched. You know, it's It's just to be rude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you guys have the exact same buttons. The exact same buttons do the exact same thing. You could have just worked together in a community, but instead you had to compete against each other. And now I can't play video games. And it's just, it's so I can do the Switch now. Just play Zelda. Keep it good there.
But you will eventually pick up the keyboard and mouse if you keep trying.
Yeah.
Like it was so tough for me in the beginning. Like the first game that I bought for PC, I was like, dude, there's no way.
What was the first game you bought for PC?
It was Star Citizen. I think it's called Star Citizen.
Okay.
It's not the new one they just released. It's like another one they released, but it's like super realistic space travel game.
Okay. Love sci-fi.
But I couldn't even understand how to like move WSAD and then look with the mouse. But then we started playing a game called Escape from Tarkov, which is like the most amazing game ever.
Really? I'm going to put it in the thing.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. If he
Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah, if he loves games like that, he can get in our little crew with us. But that game, I sucked it in the beginning too, but we just played it so much that I've learned how to do it. So now,
is it like a fantasy kind of?
No, it's a hyper realistic shooter game.
Okay. I don't know if he would be interested in that. He was a Marine, so it's probably
it's very realistic. So he might not be into it.
Yeah. Escape from Tarkov just sounds like it sounds like you're just like leaving a dungeon of magic or something. I don't know. It sounds like
it's a very fun game. He might be interested in it. It's highly customizable weapons.
Oh yeah. Then I'm sure he'd be into it.
Yeah, he might. And the realism of the deaths. I know this sounds bad, but the realism of the deaths is very easy. It's like if you took 2 bullets in real life, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
If you look at games like Call of Duty,
I see. It's not just like the graphics is like an actual person that dies in like a realistic way. It's like they actually die realistically by the damage, not in the manner of okay. So like if you look at Call of Duty takes like a whole clip to kill someone. No, this game you see someone first, you shoot them twice, they're done. Okay. Did you play the what's that Louisiana game, Hunter? What is that? Oh, Hunter is cool. It's based in Louisiana, and you are a hunter, but your character can change. You know, it's like you only get to keep your character as long as your character doesn't die in combat. Ooh. But they cycle through, and they have like special characters that you can keep. But you're going through swamps and you're killing monsters to collect tokens. But there's other people in the games, and they can get you. And so you go through these like different areas, and like so I've seen one that's the one that he plays a lot is like on like a farm, and then like they can throw bees at people or fire, but then you can get 2 teams, and then you like build up. It seems really fun. And
how have I not heard of this?
Yeah, I don't know. Hunter, yeah, and it's like all based in, and it's got this really the music is really neat. There's like this kind of Cajun-esque kind of style sound, but it's made by this band. The developers like joined a band, so it's like these Swedish guys that do like this kind of southern sound, but it's really fun. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. We've been looking for something new to jump into. Yeah, definitely highly recommend if you are in that thing. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add to today's discussions? Well, it's been so natural having this conversation. I halfway forgot it was being recorded. Oh, yeah. I hope it's recording. Well, yeah. Let's see. I'm very excited to move to Arkansas. I will be starting crowdfunding for my next album very soon. So that's really exciting. I have like 35 songs that have not been, that are like not on the album, just like finished, ready to go. Yeah. So I'm going to be starting. The blog launch will be the kind of precursor, and then I will be starting some crowdfunding soon. So if anyone is interested in finding out about that, they can find out on Instagram. Yeah, and what would that be? A.strangebird. Yeah. And then my Substack is called Songwriting Revolution Book Club. Awesome. Check her music out. She's great. Her music has a message to it behind it, and that's what makes it awesome. Thank you for coming today, Burdette. Hey, thanks so much for having me, Kyle.